Jim Yamagishi with Songwriters Vantage and the Songnet, www.thesongnet.org. We're here at the IMC conference today interviewing Stephen Memel and the Science of Switching On. Stephen, can you tell us a little bit about what the Science of Switching On is all about?
The Science of Switching On, I bill it as the first fully integrated vocal technique and performance system, but it's really not exclusive to vocal technique and performance. It really has to do with any art form and actually any area of human endeavor. So it's a system to achieve the full self, to get the most creativity out of yourself, to basically operate at your highest level.
Is this like more of a physical thing or a mental thing, or is it like a combination of both? How does it work?
Yes, yes, and yes. It's really treating the person as in a totality. There's one part of it that's a 4-quadrant model that I call a lens, because it's how we look at any endeavor. And in that, we have the physical, technical quadrant, we have the mental, we have the emotional, and we have the energetic. And there is a fully creative self. There's a version of each person, and this is completely applicable to songwriters as well. There's this version of them that operates at their highest level of creativity and their highest level of putting things out. And for all of us, to a greater or lesser degree, there are certain obstacles to that happening. Songwriters are always looking for, how do I become more creative? How do I take greater risk? How do I become more free in what I'm doing? So these obstacles are going to sit in one or usually multiple of the 4 quadrants. So a lot of people, what they look at is, oh, I have a problem with my output. And so in the case of a songwriter, it's going to have a problem with coming up with the best song or being the most creative. Well, instead of it being this big problem, if you take this lens and you start isolating what's happening in the technical world with your writing, what's happening mentally with what you're doing, or emotionally, where does that play into it, and what's happening on the energetic level. And if you operate from isolating these particular issues down, then you can solve particular problems and release those obstacles. And of course, the minute you start releasing that, then you're going to get the greater creativity out of yourself. So let's take an example of something in the technical world, all right? So you're a songwriter. You live next door to somebody who blasts the music. Now, I haven't said this before. This just came out. So there's a technical issue right there. That's going to disrupt your creativity. That's going to disrupt the full expression of yourself. Your consciousness is going to be drawn to that. So you have to address that. Say, here's this issue. Here's this issue that is making it hard for me to be fully expressive. It may be having holes in your understanding of harmony or song structure. And you might either be aware of it or not aware of it. Or it could be the fact that you write pretty much the same structure of song or same kind of chordal thing, or maybe your melody stays in the same area as your chorus. These are all technical things that you have to become aware of. And they're actually patterns that we all have of things that we operate with. We have to become aware of these and be able to change them. So that's something on the physical level. On the mental level, how do you think about yourself as a songwriter? What's your self-image? Do you go into songwriting thinking, oh, this is so hard for me, oh, God, I wish I were better at it? Or do you go into a songwriting session, or do you go into a collaboration thinking, God, these people are better than me? Or do you go in feeling like, I have great creative ideas and I have a right to be there? And these are very surface, very quick. On the emotional level, of course, you're going to have an emotional reaction to any thought that you have. So, and where are you emotionally? How are you letting your emotions affect you? Or when you're trying to write a song about a particular subject, are you allowing yourself to drop into and experience what you need to experience to get the most passionate, real, and truthful thing out of yourself, so that when an audience hears it, they're going to be hearing something really powerful. And even on the energetic level, you can think about, do you get like this while you're writing, or do you keep yourself alive? I mean, even just something simple like that.
Would that almost be like going into like a third-person thing like an actor might do? Or
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, it's very interesting because the central organizing concept of the science of switching on is that there is only one art. That art is you. The rest are just forms. So actually, in everything, at some level, we're going into the third person. If you're writing a song, you're going to write a better song when you write a song dropping into what that character is feeling, not looking at that character from the outside, but dropping into the body, to the soul of that character. That's the same thing an actor does. And as a matter of fact, I was listening to stuff about marketing recently, and that's what they recommend marketers do, is sit back and become the prospect, become their client, their potential audience, so that you can speak to that audience's concerns. And if you're a doctor, this just popped in my head, if you're a doctor, or everybody's talking these days about your client, your patient-doctor relationship, and are the doctors engaged, even to the point where they're doing studies about the doctors doing their computer over here, right? And how can they do their computer and be with the patient at the same time? So no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, it comes down to the fact that we're emotional beings, that we look for safety, and we look for being seen, and we look to have our emotional experiences understood. And so whether we're illuminating one as a creative artist, or we're on the other end and experiencing it, it's all around that, safety.
Yeah, taking risks is a pretty powerful thing there.
Very powerful.
Yeah, I know that that's one of the things that you would bring up in your performance workshops as well. Do you still do the performance workshops?
Yes, I do. I do. I'm going to be doing one in November, actually, on the 7th, a whole-day workshop after another convention I'm speaking at. And it's going to be kind of fun because I have some people coming from Denmark and back east. But I'm also starting to, I'm working on a program with a woman in Australia that's going to be called the Hollywood Music Immersive. And we're going to be bringing people in. Right now, the bulk of them will be from Australia, but they'll also be from China, New Zealand, and it's going to be a one-week immersion program in the music business. So it's going to be everything from my voice and performance training to movement. I'll be bringing in people from the industry. I'll showcase at the end. It's going to be a really exciting program. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool there.
Yeah.
You've also done a lot of pretty high-profile clients and stuff, too.
Yes.
Do you have any interesting stories about some of that? Or
Wow. Yeah, but I don't know if I can tell them.
Okay, we'll just pick one that...
But you know, there's some interesting things. Like I work with Justin Long, helping him with his voice on the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies, and the third one's going to be coming out in December.
He was the Mac guy, right?
He was the Mac guy. He was the Mac guy. He's a great actor. He's a really, really nice guy. And it's my responsibility with him is to keep his voice in the right place and keep it tuned, because his voice is actually lower, so that even double speeded, it tends to drop lower than Alvin's voice should be. So I have to keep the match and work with him to keep it up and keep him being able to go in these long recording sessions, so he doesn't record without me in the room, which is such a great thing, because if you knew what didn't make it into the movie, he is truly he's a genius. He is hysterical. He's got a high reference level. You go, where did he pull that out from? And how did he figure out how to put it in there? But there's a real example of it. That's an example of somebody who does not edit. It just comes out. And it's also an example of somebody who you can see him in every moment. And that's true for all the great people I work with. Jesse McCartney's one of the other Chipmunks that I work with him as well. And he's a singer-songwriter, as most people know. And these people, the really great people, know how to drop into the reality of the moment. And doesn't look effortful. For a lot of artists, it's effortful to do that, whether you're a songwriter or whether you're a performer. But once you understand what that really is, there's almost a sense of, how can you not do that? And that's what you see when you see these performers who are really professional do it. They're just phenomenal, phenomenal.
Do you remember anything in particular that made you really, see what Justin was doing, made you laugh, or a particular?
Oh God, it's some of it cannot be repeated. Yes, yes, and having that double speeded after that is really what makes it funny. But like he'll see somebody at a campfire and he'll be going, no, and well, how about that? So it's an immediate dropping into the reality of the moment, and that is funny in and of itself because it transports you as an audience right there. That's why in the work that I talk about, your real job as a performer is to have the most authentic experience you can have. So you do as little as possible to get in the way of the audience believing you are who you say you are and that what you're saying about yourself is true. Because that's what you want them. You want them in that trance. You want them in that trance when you create a song. And it's interesting, I mean, just putting it together with marketing again, it's amazing to think about the unity. We live in a society of fragmentation, where this is this, and this is this, and this is this over here. And we really need to be seeing more and more how everything is the same thing. Because I was reflecting on some marketing things. Someone was talking to me about converting on websites. And he was saying, you're getting people to smell a particular thing. You're getting people to feel. And all of a sudden, I thought back to my acting training when I realized that's what we were doing on ourselves. So we were manipulating our own emotions, which kind of explains why a lot of artists are very self-centered. It's because that's what they spend their time doing, focusing on themselves to manipulate their own mechanism, who they are. And I said, wow, that's really, really powerful. But then I was thinking about copywriting, because something where I'm working on right now is being better at writing copy and writing blogs. And people keep talking about you've got to take it from the standpoint and look from the standpoint of the other person, which of course applies as a songwriter too. What are you trying to convey? What are you trying to communicate? And I felt it was problematic for me until I went, wow. When I talk to somebody and I help them detail a story in helping them understand the lyrics of their song, I get them regularly feeling certain things because of how I describe to them that story. And I went, I do that. All of a sudden, the connection between that and what I need to do on the page came. And it's that unification that I think people need to look for if you want to find your great creative self, is that unification of how do you, because we all have moments where we do it, where we truly move other people, where we truly are able to bring something out. How do we tap into that part of ourselves that already knows how to do that?
Like walking in another man's shoes kind of a thing.
Yeah, and we all do that somewhere in our life. We all do that. What we have to do is keep our feelers up so that we become aware of where we're doing that. Because somewhere you do that. I read a book a long time ago that talked about even procrastinators have some place in their life where they're producers. If you can find that place, then you can start changing your thought of that. So somewhere we all know that part, walk in that other person's shoes, know an experience and relate to another person like that. And if we can see how I can bring that person who knows how to do that already into my creative life, you're starting to tap, you're starting to find that channel, because that's what we're looking for, is a channel. We all have it inside. We need to channel.
Yeah, that's a pretty powerful thing. Is there any one particular exercise, something you can share with us, just to get started on this kind of a path? Or
Yes. A couple of things come to mind. One is learning how to pause. You're purely learning how to stop the incessant train of monkey mind going on in most of our lives. And I talk about the 4 quadrants as a lens of inquiry, and that there are certain questions you can ask. So taking it back to the science of switching on, if you're looking about the physical, technical world, one thing you can do is what I'm doing right now. Where am I right now? That question. Where am I? Oh, I'm sitting talking to Jimmy. You just came into more focus because I stopped. You know, it's this thing of there's so much noise going on. How can you hear anything inside yourself? So the ability to stop, become aware of yourself, makes that space to then ask yourself, what do I feel? What do I feel right now? And it doesn't mean you have to do it to feel bad or stay in the feeling, but when you get hooked in to the ability to know what you feel, you're dropping into a sense of truth that unifies you. And then from there, things that you do are going to have more groundedness. They're going to be more truthful.
like living in the moment.
Well, that's exactly what it is.
That's a very, very powerful thing. Yeah, and I think that all of us do need to live a lot more in the moment because, we only have so many moments in our lifetime.
That is so true. That is
Well,
so true.
thank you once again, Stephen. This is Jimmy Yamagishi from the IMC conference for Songwriters Vantage and songnet.org. And Stephen, you rock. Thank you very much. It was good having a talk with you.